We're live. Hello, pickleball
What?
peeps. How's everybody?
Hola.
Okay,
Hello.
I'm CJ Johnson from Better Pickleball. You are
Tony Roig from Better Pickleball
Better Pickleball? Well, you
and VI Pickleball. I'm going
and,
with you, man. I'm with
and,
whatever CJ's doing. That's what I'm doing.
and into pickle. But so we're talking volleyball, is that it?
Whatever you want
Obviously,
to talk about.
we are talking pickleball tonight. Hello everyone. We got the Pickleball Summit coming up in just a little over a week, starting on June 27th. 31 presenters talking everything that you want to know and some stuff you didn't even know you needed to know about pickleball. I got to tell you, we've been doing these recordings and they are amazing. Tony, let's check in on both. If we would check in, are you checking in over on YouTube?
I am in 1 second. I
All
am.
right.
As you know, CJ, I was on the road pretty much all day today, uh, filming with two of our presenters. Man, I'm gonna tell you the stuff in those videos. I was during the breaks in the videos. I was like, I did not know that, and I did not know that, and I had no idea about that, and I was like, oh my god, you know. So the stuff is phenomenal. I hope people join. What's
And I
happening,
think
Stanley?
And I think, yeah, I see. What? Are you on Facebook? Because Stan's on Facebook.
No, stands on multitasking.
Stan, you're multitasking. Stan's one of our VIP members, and he also is referee extraordinaire. He just got done. I got to give him a little props here because he just had the National Indoor Championship, and not only did he help, I think he said 30 matches he refed. He also walked away with a silver medal. So how does that work? I mean, that's pretty impressive. Um, if you're walking away with a
Stan, let us
silver
know if
medal.
in the comments if that was. I haven't been able to be in the community for a few days because we've been so slammed. Was Angelo? Was that with Angelo? Because that was awesome. I'll reach out to Angelo and congratulate him. CJ, I don't know if you know, Angelo did a couple of videos back in the COVID thing. He was doing some indoor training in his garage, and they're great videos. He has like this thing on his head, like I think it's a ball on his head or something that like he just punches, and it's like good eye-hand coordination stuff. So Angelo was kind enough to film himself, and we put out a couple of videos on that stuff. So, and I apologize, but I'm eating some granola because I've been on the road all day, and I had a bad lunch, and Jill makes sure that I eat well. So I'm gonna finish my granola as we go here.
So you had a bad lunch, or you? Because I know where you went for
It
lunch.
was an
So
amazing lunch, amazing lunch, but it wasn't no good for me.
okay. So I just put the wrong link for the summit into the comments in Facebook. So anyway, let's talk a little pickleball before by the way, tonight we have two guests coming on tonight.
It's a twofer.
It's a
Mm-hmm.
two for one. Are we gonna tell them, make them keep guessing for a while? What
I
one
think
of
okay. So our first guest is like a Hall of Famer and one of the best tennis players of the modern tennis era. Like legit, we're talking like I mean, really, you're talking Roger Federer level. You're talking that stratosphere of players. She's in that stratosphere of players. So just and I can't wait to hear some of her war stories from her time in that world because just to hear that kind of dynamic at that level is going to be crazy. And so that's gonna be really fun. And I was with our second guest today, CJ. So I'm gonna get to see him. We have a she and a he. I
a,
get to
sh-
see him twice in one day. So
a she and a he?
awesome.
I know, isn't that awesome?
Mm-hmm.
So, and
Yep. Fun stuff.
your second guest has been with us before. He's done some. He has done
Mm-hmm.
some. He did a session for us in uh, via pickleball.
And he
So,
is the number two ranked world ranked player, number two pickleball player in the world in the senior division.
is that what his ranking is right now?
We,
No.
we we're just bringing it's all like the heavy artillery tonight. We're bringing in like tennis Hall of Famer, 17-time Grand Slam champion, number two pickleball player in the world. I mean, ain't no messing around tonight, TJ. We're bringing out the big guns.
Well, that's fantastic. So, have we got, before we bring out the big guns, they'll be coming in a bit. Have we got any questions that somebody's dying to have answered? Otherwise, we're going to be talking about whatever pickleball related is going on in our minds.
I got a question here. Jeff W. How you doing, Jeff W? Leonard, how's everybody
Hi,
doing
Jeff.
out there? Jay Santome or Santome and Stan. Obviously, we said hi to Stan. Jeff asks, and I'm going to take this one, CJ, if you don't mind, and you can fill in whatever I miss. So I know you got to do a couple of things on the computer there, maybe. But Jeff says, how do I enter a non-sanctioned tournament and not get sandbagged? Question. Like my last one. So I would suggest you, Jeff, there's really no way to avoid that. Sanction, non-sanction, doesn't really matter. You go to some of the biggest sandbagging happens at the biggest events actually. So you come to U.S. Open in Naples. I haven't actually played nationals yet, but I'm assuming it's similar there. But in the U.S. Open, I can tell you that whatever your level is, you're going to be playing the best that exists in your level and some that are not from your level. I don't really know what to tell you there, Jeff. I wish there was a better answer. It happens in tennis too. It happens in every sport. I played a lot of league tennis play, and we would play. I never played college tennis, and we would play. Guys, because I played guys. We would play guys who, had finished their college careers three years ago or something. And we're like, what is happening here? How are you playing at this level? But it just happens in every sport, Jeff. And like I said, I wish there was a better. I wish I had some magic potion to give you or magic answer for you. It's just part of the game and part of life. So, and we also have Dennis and Julieta on, or Julieta, I should say, Julieta Tablate Blanco. That's a mouthful, Julieta, but I love it. And in Grand Rapids, and Julieta, I'm going to be up in Grand Rapids at the Beer City tournament. If you're gonna be there, say hello. And I would say anybody who's watching, if you're going to be at the Beer City tournament in a few weeks, I will be there. And I'll also be at the Kalamazoo tournament on Wednesday. So please say hi. We always like hearing from everybody. So. And Jay Santome is from Delray Beach, Florida, and I played at that tournament, so I like the Delray Beach courts. Very
Ooh.
nice. They have a nice facility down there.
So I'm going
So,
to add something really quick to what Tony said, Jeff. If you're entering a tournament, and chances are you're entering it for fun, even if it's your first time in a tournament at a pro level division, it's probably just for fun because tournaments are a learning experience. I don't think most people enter their first tournament and then win everything. So if you are entering, go into it with the attitude that it's fun and that it's a learning experience. And that's what will help to make that more enjoyable and maybe slightly more tolerable when you come up against somebody who's not your level, that you will, look at it as a learning experience and see what you can learn from those people.
and CJ, can I second that because that's a great point. That's a really really good point. I wish I had made it. So really, I mean, I think it's really helpful, and we talk about this, in terms of reframing our minds. What does success mean? How do we define success, right? When we go to a tournament, and so say you're playing in a tournament, and I don't know what your level is, Jeff, but let's say you're a 4-0, right? And a 4-5 or a 5-0 gets in your division, right, and signs up. Look at it as an opportunity to play with a 4-5 or a 5-0 player. Looking at it as an opportunity for you to learn. Obviously, well, not obviously, but it'll likely impact your chances of winning that tournament. But so if you define success at the tournament as winning, then maybe it impacts it more negatively. If you look at it as, if you look at your experience in a tournament as a great experience and an opportunity to grow and learn in the game, then maybe there's a different perspective than being sandbagged. So that's the thought. So.
Yep.
Jeff said, perfect answer, CJ. So you got quadruple thumbs up over here on this thing.
I got the kudos on that one. All
That
right.
was a really good answer, CJ. Objectively speaking, that was a fantastic answer.
And truly, have fun. Have fun. Well, and what that comes down to is, I will tell. So I went one of the last tournaments I played in. Basically, there was a fight. They were in each other's face on the court right next to me, and I thought they were gonna. I thought they were gonna start swinging at any point in time. And I got to tell you, it was no fun for the people on that court. It was no fun for me, right? We had to stop playing I mean, because that's how,
Right.
that's how it was. We had to stop playing. And it's like, come on, let's get serious here. This is crazy. So yes, have a good time.
Who wins there, right? Who gains from that? It just says you're right. It's like
Nobody.
it's negative for them. It's negative for you. It's negative for the event.
Right.
It's just yeah, it's unfortunate. And I'm going to suggest something, Jeff. If you haven't registered for the summit, I highly recommend you do. But if there's one, I mean, every presentation can be really good, but one presentation in particular that might help is the presentation by Coach Peter Scales. He's a psychologist and also a sports coach. And his concepts, we use them inside VI Pickleball. We've gone over his book. I wish you see. Did you have it handy? I don't have my copy right next to me.
Are you kidding me? We have.
Let's go. Bring CJ's like, whoa. That book is amazing. If you guys want to get a book,
yeah.
get that book. Come to the summit, guys, and listen to Coach Scales. Awesome.
We had book club last night, so that's why I have the book handy, because it's fantastic. And you know what, Tony? Our guest who knows a thing or two about playing under pressure. I think she does, right? I mean, well, not only does she know about playing under pressure, she knows about succeeding with a little bit of pressure on her shoulders. She is here. So I gotta tell you, this is a super treat. Tony, do you want to introduce her? Or we're just gonna slide her right in?
Because I get the star eyes, and because I came from tennis, so you know how that is. So it'd be like if you were introducing Annika, what's her Sorenstrom? What was her name?
Sorenstrom. You know she plays pickleball,
Sorenstrom, right? So
she lives here
in
she lives here in my town, and she plays pickleball. And
we're playing doubles when I come out there in September for sure. Gigi, you got to come out to Lake Tahoe so we can play with Annika. Go ahead.
Here we go. If you don't recognize this woman, Ms. Gigi Fernandez, she is a 17-time Grand Slam champion and, just tennis player extraordinaire. And welcome so much. She's also one of our summit presenters. It's great to have you, Gigi.
Hola,
Thanks
Gigi.
for having me. Hola.
Okay, Gigi.
And if I can briefly, CJ, can I do something really quick here? Because some of the folks watching may not be tennis aficionados, right? And I just want to clarify that when we say 17 Grand Slams, there's only 4 Grand Slams every year. So winning a tournament in tennis is great. Any tournament's great, but the Grand Slams are the Grand Slams. So when we say 17 Grand Slams, that's just a crazy number. So I just wanted to put that in perspective for the non-tennis viewers out there. Just it's crazy. I told you, CJ, that's why I wanted you to introduce Gigi, because then I'll go off on this tangent, crazy stuff. So,
but
yeah, that's Wimbledon, U.S. Open, French Open, Australian Open for the really non-tennis players.
Okay, how many?
No, that's amazing.
Okay, so I'm curious. So, how many? Which tournament did you win most often?
I won 6 French, 5 U.S. Opens, 4 Wimbledons, and 2 Australian Opens, and I won 14 with the same partner in a 5-year period. Ooh. So that was we were winning 2 or 3 Grand Slams every year for 5 years. That was pretty cool. It was fun.
Gigi, can I pick your brain about that for a second, Gigi? About the
I was kind of funny. I was listening. I was just listening about the person who was getting mad, and the best thing anybody ever told me about getting mad. I picked up golf when I retired, and my wife Jane Geddes was a U.S. Open winner, and I got really mad at the golf course one time, and she looked at me and she goes, "You're not good enough to be mad." So that's what I tell people. You're just not that good, all right? Unless you're like Ben Johns or Simona, like we're all learning the game, and you just can't get mad. It's like there's no benefit to getting mad, and it's a fun game, and you improve every time you go out there, and that's all you can really be trying to do.
Talk about an overachieving household there. Go ahead, Tony. You were going to ask something.
Yeah, I was going to ask Gigi. So you mentioned something that is, most pickleball, and pickleball is interesting, right, Gigi? Because I come from tennis. I'm not at your level of tennis, but I played tennis since I was a young boy, and my whole life. And in tennis, especially when I was younger, like singles was always the thing, right? And doubles, right. I knew doubles existed. I didn't really start playing doubles until I was probably in my 30s, maybe, when I restarted back in tennis. Pickleball is backwards. I always tell the story of, excuse me, the first granola the wrong way. The first U.S. Open that was played, I played in the singles, right? I was like, I'll sign up for singles. So they had all of the doubles events during the week. Saturday evening, they had their, awards and like a big to-do for the tournament, right? Like a closing event, right? Or closing ceremony, I should say. And then Sunday they had singles. So it was like tournament was over, you guys go play singles, right?
Backwards.
And so but so obviously we deal with in pickleball, it's the partner part is so important, right? So I don't know if maybe you can give us a couple of a few minutes on what it's like to play with different no names, right? But other than the one you played with forever, but like how is that versus playing with? And I imagine sometimes in especially in mixed doubles, maybe you might have to change partners based on tournament schedules and who's available. So maybe there's more flow there. So maybe talk a little bit about that. Like, what is it like to play with different partners and how you gel on the court as a doubles team?
Yeah, so I mean, I think the key to a good partnership obviously is communication. And the more you cannot over communicate when you're playing doubles. Like the more you talk, the more you communicate. Mine, yours, whatever it is. You serve first, I serve first, etc. I like to talk. I don't like to talk. Everybody's different. Some people like chatter, and some people like quiet. So you really have to get to know your partner and really know their preferences, because you can be as great as you can be, but if you don't support your partner or help them or make them feel comfortable on the court, guess what? In pickleball, you can really isolate a player and just hit every ball to them, and you're going to be out of it. I find that more in pickleball than I do in tennis, where you can really, like, I play a lot of pickleball points, but I never see the ball. And that never happened in tennis. It seemed like you could always get somewhat more involved in tennis than you can in pickleball. So it's really important to be supportive of your partner and be encouraging, and use positive words, um, and don't say to someone like, I've been playing doubles for 40 years now at different levels, at least 40, maybe 45. And I was playing pickleball recently, and somebody said something to me that I never had anybody tell me, and I was like shocked. I didn't know how to react. This point was going on, and it ended, and the ball went through us. And this girl looks at me, she goes, "You got to get those." And I was like, "Oh my God, I'm really trying here, right?" I don't know, maybe it was yours. I don't know whose ball it was, but I never really. So don't say that to your partners. Always communicate in plural. So it's not me or you, it's we. We need to get our first serve, or we need to return and come in. We need to dink. We need to get a third shot drop. Let's do this. It's never you do this or you do that, or I'll do this or I'll do that. It's always as a team in plural.
That's really good stuff, Gigi. That just using we. I frankly I never heard it framed that way, and I'm going to tell you I'm going to be more in tune to that, because just saying we, us, the group, right? Definitely 100%, because we're going to win together and we're going to lose together. I tell students, I tell them like if you can help your partner, say on a court positioning, say the partner is you're getting ready to serve and the wind's coming and your partner's too close to the line, maybe you can say, hey, let's back up a little bit because of the wind or something. Because they're not helping, you're helping your partner, but you're helping yourself and the group, right? So yeah, the we that's really, really, really helpful.
Gigi, you said that you won, what was it? 14 tournaments with the same partner in what?
14 Grand Slams in a 5-year period. So there's only 20 played, right? So
okay.
We won 14 of them.
So obviously that is like a killer partnership. What was the glue that, besides winning is always kind of a nice thing, right? But what was the glue? What was the secret sauce in that partnership?
Man, if I could put that in a book, it would be a bestseller, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know. It was. We have the Puerto Rican emotional American, and then you have the Belarusian kind of stoic personality. So we were like totally opposite in our personality types, and also we were opposites in our styles and our strengths and weaknesses. Like Natasha was a great returner, great ground stroker. I was great at the net, great with the volleys, had a great serve, she had a great return. So you always want to find a partner that that complements you. Like whatever your weaknesses are, you want to try to find someone that has those strengths. And then we communicated a lot. We almost did therapy. I mean, frankly, it's like a marriage. We had a sports psychologist that traveled with us to the Grand Slams, and we would have actual sessions where we would sit down and talk about what was upsetting during the match, because partnerships, it's very intense, obviously, to be, playing Grand Slam finals, and it can get very emotional, and you can say things you don't mean in the heat of the moment. So we would always kind of have conversations after the match about what was said, what wasn't said, kind of treated like that, like almost like couples counseling. and then also the most important thing I think that made us so successful, like two more things I'm gonna point out. The first one is like we always had fun. We were always smiling. We were always trying to engage the crowd. We were always we actually had a joke book on our racket backs, and if we were ever super stressed out or losing to someone we shouldn't be losing, we'd pull out the joke book and start telling each other jokes. So that was important. And then I forgot what the other thing was, but it'll come to me in a little while.
I just want to say, if you were listening to that, I mean, there's a lot to unpack that you can take into your pickleball game in terms of being a good partner. Things that she said, and as she mentioned, a lot of that work, especially like some of the mental work, if you're playing tournaments, that happens off the court as well. That's a big part of it there. Awesome.
Gigi, can I ask you? So I've known you for a little bit of time now. I've had the pleasure of being on the court with you a few times in pickleball, but I haven't asked you, and I'm kind of curious if you don't mind me asking. Give me like one of your favorite top 5 or so tennis stories, like from your I don't know, a match that went this way or something interesting that happened. Give me just one. Just pick one. Random. Just pick one that comes to mind.
Okay, so
just give us one. No, just one. One.
This one happened at the 1992 Olympics, and we were playing. Mary Jo Fernandez and I were representing the United States. A Puerto Rican and a Dominican, Cuban, Spaniard were representing the United States. We're playing in the finals in Barcelona against the Spaniards, and Conchita Martinez, Arancha Sanchez Vicario, and we were not favored to win. We were seeded 7th. They were seeded 2. And we got off to a really good start. We were up a set and a break, 3-2. I was serving 30-15 to go up 2 breaks. And the stadium was packed. It was 12,000 people, all rooting for them. And between my first and my second serve, these 2 people walk onto the court, onto the stands. And the way the stands were set up, they were like coming to the front row behind the players. So like so they were right at my eye level where I was serving. I hit my first serve, I missed it. And then I'm waiting for these people to, as I'm getting ready to hit my second serve, they're walking to their seats, and I'm bouncing the ball, and I'm like getting really upset because I can't serve until they sit down. And finally they sit down, and I, of course, proceed to double fault. And I go up to Mary Jo and I go, "God damn it, Mary Jo, what are those people doing?" She goes, "Gigi, calm down. It's the king and the queen of Spain." So the king and the queen of Spain decided to show up to watch the gold medal match of the Spaniards. And they've been doing this throughout the Olympics. And of course, the Spaniards elevated their game, and they won the next 6 games. I think we're down 3-love in the third, or 2-love in the third. And we ended up coming back to win in the third set. But yeah, that was pretty special. Standing in the podium afterwards and receiving the gold medal was probably the most special moment in my tennis career.
That's a phenomenal story, and we forgot to say that, CJ. Yeah. We mentioned the Grand Slams. We forgot the 2
right?
gold medals.
2 gold medals. I mean,
yeah. We defended in '96 in Atlanta. So yeah, that was cool.
So what was that like to win the gold medal in the States?
Actually, it was anticlimactic because in Spain we were playing against the Spaniards, and the stadium was packed, and it was great. I mean, even though they're mostly rooting for them, the atmosphere is great. In the U.S., we played after Agassi won his gold medal, so the stadium, a typical, like you were saying, in tennis, doubles is the after show, right? So after Agassi won his gold medal, the stadium emptied. So we played it was probably 10% full. And there's a lot more pressure defending a gold medal than it is winning it the first time. So, we were kind of the ones to beat, and everybody was gunning after us. And it was definitely very stressful winning the second, way more stressful winning the second one than it was winning the first one.
Awesome. Now, Gigi, we know you got to take off. You got some stuff to do out there, but we know you're going to be at the summit. We're looking forward to your presentation at the summit. It's going to be the transition from tennis to pickleball. We love having you part of the pickleball community, and we love to see what you're going to do in pickleball in the future. CJ, anything else for Gigi?
No, I can't wait to meet her, and I got to tell you though, I also can't wait to meet Jane, because that's my sport. Right?
You're a golfer, right?
Yeah, exactly. So as a professional golfer.
I'm playing my doubles partner. I'm playing the Rocky Mountain Championship, and my doubles in pickleball. My doubles partner lives in. You may know her, Jana Spanos. She lives in where you live.
Yeah.
You know her?
I saw her.
Yeah,
I saw her at the courts on Tuesday.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna play doubles with her in Denver, and I'm playing mixed with
And
Eric Gagnon, and that should be
we
interesting.
actually both know her, Gigi, because I know her from the villages, and
Oh,
and
yeah,
CJ knows her
yeah,
from
I
Minquon
practiced
Village.
with her in the village. So that would be interesting because this is my second pickleball tournament. The first one, I feel like Sarah Ansbury threw me to the wolves because she invited me to play in the senior open, like split division, so senior pro, and I never played a tournament in my life. And my very first tournament is against Lee Waters and Jen Dawson, who are two of the best players in the world. And we actually hung in there pretty good. We ended up losing. And then on the back draw, we played Eva Welcher on the first round. I forget her partner. So we lost to the silver medalist and to the bronze medalist. So that's all I've played. So I'm looking forward to hopefully getting more worked my way into it and not playing the best players in the world right away.
That's a good story, and we were talking. You heard us talking to Jeff about tournaments beforehand. So there you go, Jeff. Enjoy that tournament.
Yeah,
And if you
no, we had
if you
a lot
register
of
for the
fun.
summit, right, exactly. If you register
Yeah,
for the summit, you'll in the information you get about the summit, you'll get some information on how to get a hold of Gigi. You can connect with her camps and things like that. I know she's doing a lot of tennis right now. Pickleball's coming, guarantee it.
pickleball's
Look
coming.
out for it.
Yeah,
You know it.
I'm gonna start teaching pickleball soon.
Gigi,
Love it.
it was great to have you, and we can't wait to see you at the summit.
Thank you. Thanks
All
for having
right.
me.
Good night,
Have a great
Gigi.
night.
Ciao.
Bye.
Wow, man.
What are you gonna say, huh?
She's like a dynamo, isn't she? I mean,
We can't tell our next guest who he's following, who he followed. Don't tell him. Just,
we won't tell him.
no.
We won't tell him.
No.
We might tell him, hey, you might be the number 2 senior player in the world, but how many Olympic medals do you have, or Grand Slam champions, right? But he is.
We'll say how many Grand Slam quarterfinals have you played in?
Ooh. I was going to say that he is, but he is playing really well. He's playing some great pickleball. But anyway, we have a couple questions before he comes on, because he's not on quite yet. He'll be on in just a little bit. Leon's back. Leon was here last week. Tony, why don't you field this one? Do most pros use Eastern or handshake grip? I've gone to it. I think he's talking about the Continental. I've gone to it, and it really improves forehands over the hammer grip.
I would say most pros use either a Continental or basically up and down grip. Actually, I have a paddle here.
You remembered.
I have the paddle. Oh, you haven't seen it yet, I don't think, have you? This is the diadem paddle that they sent out.
That's the one we were talking. Yeah, that's what we were talking.
What's interesting? I'll answer the question in a second, but it's squirrel. So what's interesting is they actually have the paddle balance on there. So the head heaviness you do from golf.
Yeah.
So they have the balance of the paddle there, which is the first paddle I've ever seen to have that on there. So I'm surprised not surprised. It's thumbs up to Diadem for doing that. Just surprised that relative newcomer to the game is the first one to say, hey, you know what? Why don't we put the balance on there? Anyway, so I would say that most pro players are using some variety from here. So they're using this grip where basically the paddle lays at I'm not doing that right. That's better. The paddle lays at a 90 degrees. Some of them will turn it a little bit like this, right? And they'll move it around a little bit as they play. But so a little bit like this. Very few are using. I don't know if you're calling this the hammer, but basically the whack-a-mole or the Western. Some people call it Eastern, but basically when you have the paddle, you rotate it forward and down like this. Very few players use this grip. Riley Newman uses it. Jeff Warnick uses it. I'm trying to think on the women's side who would be a good example. Well, Lindsay Newman. But basically, the issues that arise with this grip are when I'm trying to hit a low forehand, and I can't show it to you here, but basically the way my arm turns when I put the paddle down to hit a forehand dink when I have the paddle like this, I have to really bend my wrist back like this to get the paddle down. That's really uncomfortable. The other problem, this one I can show a little better, is on the backhand side, you can see the paddle stays really open here. It's not quite parallel to the ground, but it's pretty open. So what happens is if I get hit a hard ball up into my belly area and I have the paddle like this, what will happen is that ball will pop up. It's very common for this grip for that to happen. And actually, that's something you can do if you're playing against somebody who has this grip. You can attack those two spots. But if you watch, for instance, Riley and Lindsay, the way they get around that is they use their offhand. So they take their offhand and they take it and they push it over on the backhand side. So you'll always see this hand engage when you're seeing the Newmans use it. They use it. They dink open like this. They'll soften it like this. But then when they're getting ready to get tacked or get hit hard, they use this hand, the offhand, to push the paddle over like this. So hope that answers the question.
Cool. And I would say this: if you're starting out, Leon, if you're relatively new to pickleball, truly the continental grip is the one that is the most universal from a front to a back. Now, if you bring a different grip from another racket sport, like ping pong, it doesn't even have to be racket. I mean, like ping pong, paddle sport, you can try that grip, but generally the continental is the most universal.
It gives you the most flexibility, right? One side or the other side. So yeah.
Okay. Laurel Hyman is here. Hello.
What's happening, Laurel?
She's got a question that's going to get us in trouble. Okay, you
I'm
ready?
not answering it then. Plead the fifth.
Oh, that's
sure.
baloney. Oh no, you're like Tony is like he sees trouble and he makes a beeline for it. I mean,
like a fly to the light. Let's go.
You know it. Okay.
Moth to the light. I think moth to the light.
Okay. What are your thoughts with people playing in regionals with a golden ticket on the line, entering at their official rating, but knowing they are a much higher level player?
Well, that's a Jeff W. follow-up question.
Yeah.
I'm
exactly.
always a fan of. I don't believe my personal view. This is my personal view. I don't think that you should play just to medal. So that said, I mean I will say this. I'm not defending it, but I will say that the way the tournament is structured, right? The nationals and the golden ticket and all that stuff, it creates a kind of a screwy system, if you will, because if you want to go, you need the golden ticket, right? So these players basically go around chasing the golden ticket, and so I'm not so I can understand the mentality here, right? Because it's not just a medal. You want to go to nationals, and this is the route to nationals. But I think at the end of the day, you need to play in the level that challenges you. In other words, if you're playing in a level where there's no chance or no real chance that a team's going to beat you, you're not playing in the right level. You should be playing in a level where you could lose. So, CJ, do you see John? John just texted me. He said he's on, but he doesn't see anyone.
I do not see John. Let's give him. I'm going to send you another password to give to John.
Okay.
And well, now we told everybody who it was, but that's okay.
Well, only they have to cross link number 2 player John.
You know what?
Think about John. John's gonna be like on household name. He hasn't. I don't know that he's quite a household name yet. A lot of players will know him. But he'll be within a year and a half. He'll be a household name for sure. I think.
You know what?
He'll be Scott Moore household name. Yeah.
Tell him to try and come back in again because it looked like it tried to connect, and I'm gonna disconnect him and then tell him to try and come back in on that same one. I'm gonna, and you know what? I want to say something which I thought was really interesting, because I didn't realize this. So, one of our VIP members won a golden ticket. Actually, we've had a couple of VIP members who've won a golden ticket in a variety of different levels. But he was concerned because he's playing better, right, than the level that he's won at. I mean, it's been a while since he won his ticket, and he was wondering if he had to go in at the same level or if he would be going in at a new level. And so when we were looking up the rules, I didn't realize that it looks like you get to pick the level that you go in at. I mean, you get the golden ticket. That just gets you your entry. That doesn't mean if you win a golden ticket as a 3-0 that you have to go in as a 3-0, which I thought was kind of interesting. I mean, which I would think if your rating goes up, if you got a golden ticket as a 3-0, but your rating went up, you probably should have to play at the higher rating. But the way this looked to me when we were going through the rules, it looked to me like it just was your entry ticket. That's it.
I mean, I understand. I think I understand the USA Pickleball's thinking, right? So they want to get more. They want to get more involved, more play in the regionals, because some of the regionals, I think, we're not having a lot of players sign up. So how do you do that? You dangle nationals out there, right? But I don't. I'm not. I'm just not a huge fan of how it's playing out myself. But it is what it is. I don't know. This is a better system. So
Okay. I'm just kind of monkeying around here. We do have our second guest coming in here. So let me. Well, why don't you start introducing them while I'm monkey around here
I will.
And get this right.
Our next guest is actually I consider him a good friend. I want to say I met him 2 or maybe 3 years ago down in Delray. So the Delray San Tome or Santome is still on. John has played the Delray tournament a few times, and I met him there. We had a funny exchange over a hat, which I'll let him share if he wants to. And then I've had the pleasure of seeing him in multiple tournaments. So we stay in touch. He's an instructor, I'm an instructor, or CJ and I are both instructors. And so I've had and recently I've had the opportunity to play against him in I want to say one tournament for sure, not two. I think one tournament. But just a pleasure always to interact with him. I spent the afternoon with John getting ready for his presentation for the summit. So it's just he's at number 2 world ranked senior pro. And I'll tell you this: what's interesting about John is he's come on the scene. He's just really established himself as one of the top senior pro players, and he has a very it's kind of a unique way of approaching the game when he plays, which is he is always in control of what he's doing. And I can tell you, playing against him, that's the way he approaches the game. So I'm really happy to have John with us tonight.
Hey, John, welcome.
Hey guys, how are y'all doing tonight?
We're doing
And
fantastic.
that was not at Delray. It was at the Geezermeister.
That is right. That is right.
That is right.
That is right. You reminded me. Yeah. I think at Delray you had already fixed the hat issue you had. So
That's correct.
That's a nice hat.
It was an old hat.
Like
It was an old hat that I used to play with in the tennis world, and it was a Babolat hat, and it had an old shine to it when it got really sweaty. And he goes, "What are you going to a disco later?" And kind of made fun of me for my hat, but he was right.
Oh, John, it was said with love, and your friends they got to look out for you. I'm like, John, you got to rep, man. You got to rep. Take that hat. Bye bye.
It was no love. It was no love.
I hope you went out there and just kicked his butt after that comment.
I did. We took third. It was my I think that was my we ended up losing to Brian Stubb and Phil Bagley like 21-20 in that event. So it was a tough one, but yeah, it was good.
Yeah, that's a heartbreaker. But man, you have been playing like a house on fire.
I've been doing all right. It's been I've been having some success. It's when things just they align and then you do what you're supposed to do. It's nice to have the success. Something I always tell my students, I said, trust the process. Don't worry about the results. Well, I'm a product of that environment myself. I just worry about what I do and the results come. So it's kind of a nice thing to not only have, but also the way we teach it. So it's good.
So what do you think has changed for you? Right. I mean, you're really kind of coming into your own. What do you think has changed in your game that's attributing to the results that you're getting? What's been the process?
I turned 50. I mean, it is what it is. When I was 49 or 48, it was terrible. But when I turned pickleball 50, I knew I could always play, and I always competed well with the younger pros. But you couldn't get, if you beat one great player, you were good. But you couldn't beat one, so you couldn't beat a Ben, and then a Kyle, and then a Matt Wright. And in the senior pros, we just don't have this. We have great players, but they're not. I mean, the hand speed is different, so it's all relative to what we do. So, I don't think I do much. It's actually pretty unique. Everyone laughs at me. I think I've won 8 or 10 events with 9 or 7 different partners. So I think I'm unique in that way. It's kind of different. So I mold my game to my partner rather than I have this style that I play and you have to fit my style. It's not the way I do it. I just have an ability to just kind of, I like to say, be the assistant, or I do all the heavy lifting on the court and make my partner look good. So it's kind of the way I play it.
Now,
John, can you tell us a little bit about, and you and I spent the afternoon together. I forgot to put sunscreen on and the sun finally broke through and I'm like, man, what am I doing here? But anyway, tell us a little bit about, you and I were talking a little bit about this concept. That's why I brought it up, about control, right? About playing under control, like everything in front of you sort of a thing. Talk us through it a little bit. I think that's really helpful for players just to have that in their mind.
Well, I'm the instructor that I hated as a student, because I'm always asking why, right? I'm always asking why. Why did you hit that shot? What did you expect? Because I'm really looking for their answer to see if they're gaining knowledge of the game or are they just regurgitating information that I say. And most people aren't putting the pieces of the puzzle together. So I think it's one of the things that I stress as control factor is understand what you're going to get. If you don't know what you're looking for, you won't know what to do when it happens. And so it's kind of one of my big mottos with my students is make sure you know what you're looking for. And when they do that, their success rate goes up much faster. So it's kind of a nice thing. But that's what I think about control. It's not really about anything big or special that I do. I just try to limit my opponent's ability to hit shots that maybe they want to hit. So I kind of keep it in my favor, and I would say that's the best way I would think about it.
do you want to follow up on the control? Because I'm going to change this. I'm going to change the subject back
I have one quick
Yeah.
thing, CJ. CJ knows CJ knows that I want to ask one little thing about this. So you mentioned kind of understanding the game, right? And so the way CJ and I have been thinking about it and framing it is, and maybe this is overly simplistic, but I don't think it is. There's really there's two pillars to this game, right? One is the shot you need to hit, right? Or you want to hit. So you want to hit, whether it's a third shot drop, a volley, whatever it is, right? And that there's subsets to that, like your movement on the court, your weight transfer. There's sub pieces, but it's really the shot execution. And then I'm off the screen. And then over here, there's the understanding the game, right? And not just I can hit all the. Let's say you have the best third shots in the world, right? But you have a returner that's not coming up to the non-volley zone line. Third shot is probably not the best shot there. So understanding the game, right? Understanding the pros and cons of different things, strategy, things like that. Putting those together is really the key. And John, if you can talk to us a little bit about, we think, you've been a guest of ours on VI Pickleball. You know what we're doing with VI Pickleball. I know you do a lot of the same concepts in terms of teaching folks. But we tell players all the time, study the game, right? Find a way that works for you. And study the game. Don't just get on the court and hit 8,000 third shots, because that's great. But what about when you're supposed to hit it and what the best shot is? So maybe you can talk about the second part a little more about the knowledge of the game and how you acquire
it. A lot of it has to do with who you're on the court with. You do become a product of your environment, and so if you play with a group of players who are bangers, you're going to become a banger. If you play with all soft game, you're going to have an all soft game. You're going to adapt. It's the nature of who we are as people. But one of the most important things is I tell people, I said, if you really want to get better, if you're really talking about improving your game, I said, sometimes you have to stop playing rec games. Get 4 like-minded, skilled players together and work and do the stuff. And don't be afraid to talk to each other. Stop a point and say, hey, what do we need to do there? Or if a situation keeps developing or keeps happening, there has to be something that clicks. Let's say, why am I trapped? So I start off every lesson the same. I ask every one of my students, tell me something good about your game, and then tell me something that we need to fix right away. And maybe we get to it, maybe we don't, but I want to start off by hearing what they're improving. Are you seeing the game for what you're looking for? Are you getting the shots that you want? And then something that puts you in a bad situation. So those are the things I start off, like literally every clinic. I always, the first 3 minutes, when they're getting a little dink warm up, I'm like figuring out where their heads are at. because sometimes, you know, something sometimes gets in a funk, and it may be something as simple as, "Hey, well, tell me about why you're in a funk." And the 3 other ladies may be in the same funk, but just afraid to admit it. So those are situations that I, you know, that helps build that pickleball IQ. Understanding what works for you may not work for me, but what works for me may not work for you. All of those things is everything we do is just another layer that we can give our students or our the outreach to our players and watch their growth. I guess how they take it is individuals because each one is going to grab it differently. Like I was telling them, I said, just because you're not excelling at a rate that you want doesn't mean you're not getting better. You know, everyone grows at different levels. And I used to, as a high level tennis instructor, I had kids that would shoot out of the gate and be unbelievable. And I had other kids that were just slow and steady. But it would be funny that the one that shot out of the gate's way up here, and then all of a sudden here comes that little one, and they're just coming up and they rise up to them. It may take more time, but in all, they're going to get better. They're going to see it. They just, you know, trust the process.
Okay. You got what you need, Tony, or you got one more follow up in there? All right, because I am going to switch the conversation. I'm going back to the. Did you say eight partners and 9 events?
I
That you
think, yeah, yeah.
okay?
I've won with a lot of different players, which is
Okay.
kind of neat.
Okay, which is really and that is kind of unique, and that's one of the things, of course, rec players talk about all the time. Is rec players talk about having a challenging time playing with other rec players. So obviously, you are playing at a very high level with a lot of
Right.
different pros, and you said something about you kind of mold your game to theirs. Tell us more about those secrets of success in the partnership.
Well, you know, because everyone has their own style, and I think it's my style is very slow and controlling. So sometimes, and I've played with players who kind of go into my mold, and it actually limits them and hurts them. I'll use one example. He's a great player and a great friend, and I think I make him nervous. And it's Paul Olin. He's a super amazing dude, can play, but I think I slow the game down so much it makes him think too much. And so when I'm on the court with him, I'm saying, "Hey, just be you. I'll work my way around whatever you have to do." But I don't think not everybody. Sometimes they don't have the ability to do that, or they it just makes them nervous. So the way I think about it is I'm just going to play my game, and I keep stressing them, do what you always do, and I will kind of fix it. I will kind of go around it and be able to work with it. So it's neat. I mean, I played with old tennis friends who aren't really pickleball players, and I've won with them, and everyone goes, "How'd you do that?" I'm like, I don't know. Just being able to make it work is kind of a neat thing. So, but you're right. Rec players, I same thing. I said people always say, "Well, they don't play your style." I'm like, I don't, you know, rec play. You don't have to play your style. You do what you're supposed to do, and it'll all kind of fit together. But you know, it's kind of unique in rec games rather than competitive play because you can kind of set it up a little bit different. So.
Awesome. I got my question. I can see Tony's. I can see Tony's chomping at the bit. I can.
He's
I
got
just
one.
wanted to. No, no, no. I wanted to congratulate John on that cap you're wearing, top notch. I see the ATP pickleball shirt, top notch, and I want to tell everybody that if you sign up for the summit, you'll have all of John's contact information. You'll be able to hook up with what he's doing, check out his camps. If you're ever in Florida and elsewhere, he's I think Wisconsin next week, right? Teaching up there.
Yep.
Check out if you see ATP pickleball coming through your community or anywhere near you. You can get there if you can catch a Greyhound and go get some clinics from John. You're going to learn the game. You're going to be better about the game. And I'll tell you this. We don't, everybody has their own philosophy about the game, in terms of like, we all kind of come at it a little bit differently. But when we hear a player and an instructor of John's caliber talk about, trust the process, that's what CJ and I talk about, right? When he talks about studying the game, so when we start hearing those things, what we know that John is going to teach you the right way to play pickleball if you work with him. So John, we really appreciate you coming on the live this evening. We know you had a long day today, and we're looking forward to your presentation at the summit. It's going to be awesome. If you haven't registered yet, register for the summit. John Sperling, he's going to tell you how to get from the back of the court to the front of the court, and you're going to win some points.
It's true.
That's what we're talking about.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Thank you, John. And you don't want to miss his transition zone presentation.
It'll change your game. Trust me, it'll revolutionize
Yeah.
you. Thanks, John.
Thanks,
John.
guys. I appreciate y'all having me on. Thank you so much.
Ooh,
That was awesome. And I'll tell you one thing, CJ, his transition concepts, and to me, the transition zone is I think it's the hardest part of the game. It's the hardest part to really understand how to get, and John and I were talking about, I'm going to tease a little bit of it. We talked about it today, and it's almost like players see it binary, right? They're on the court and they see, I'm either at the baseline or I'm at the non-volley zone line. Those are the two options, right?
Right.
They don't say, well, what about the middle? You got to swim the middle. This 15 feet you got to get through, right? And so that's why a lot of players rush up, right? Because they don't work that middle. They just go, I'm either here or here. And until we get a teleportation machine, you got to work through that middle section. And if you learn how to work that middle section, you're a completely different player.
Right.
I mean, you're just a completely different player. And John really really understands that. So.
Well, and I think one of the things that comes with it, and I've seen this change since I've been in pickleball, is just the terminology. We call it transition zone. If you're calling it no man's land, you are giving yourself a negative message that you're not supposed to be there. Now, once in a while, there are some like crazy speedy players. I mean, and you look at some of the young guys and gals. You know, you look at a Ben Johns and you know, Lucy Kovalova and those types of players. I mean, they can often get from the baseline to the non-volley zone in one fell swoop. Okay, I mean, there are many times it can happen, not always. They can get there. We can't always get there. You got to play from the transition zone. And if you're the serving team, you're definitely playing from the transition zone, right? So,
CJ, I'm gonna push back on one thing.
What's that?
Because we always have to have some pushback on this thing.
Always.
I would say even if you watch those players play, I'm gonna say that maybe they could get there, but they don't rush. They just even as fast as they are, as fast as Zane Navratil is, and Zane Affleck, and all these players, as athletic as they are, even Annalie Waters, all 14, spry years of her getting up there, to the non-volley zone line. Just they're not in a rush, and who's in a rush normally? The player at the rec center. Yep. That's the player's like, I gotta get up.
Right.
Anyway,
no, you're right. You're right. And some of that is knowing when to move. I think sometimes in rec play, people don't always know when to move, and they get so locked into getting up there that they don't make those strategic decisions. I mean, that's one of the things that we talk a lot about inside of VI Pickleball, and that we get questions on, are how do you move up when you're the serving team? I mean, it's pretty cut and dry when you're the returner. Get your butt up there as fast as you can. Move. But it's a lot different when you're the serving team. Then you've got some things that you've got to be able to learn. Some skills as well as some strategies. All righty.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I agree 125%. Is that a possible thing? CJ, there's no questions on YouTube. I'm sad over here.
There is no. There is. That was going to be. Dale would have slapped my hands if that had come out of my mouth. There are no questions over on Facebook as well. But don't forget, the Pickleball Summit is coming up. You can't watch if you don't register, but it's free. So register. I've put the links in both YouTube as well as on Facebook. It starts in just a little over a week, June 27th. Barrett Kenchelo from Pickleball Kitchen is our kickoff presenter. And I mean, it is a who's who list of pickleball. I mean, just look at the last two guests. I mean, crazy, right? Grand Slam champion.
CJ, I'll tell you one thing. The you and I talked about it, right? The agenda. We're putting together. We have the agenda for the event, but we're just putting together like a document to share, right? Because we've been so busy that we're like, I probably need like a list of who's presenting what day, and nice, right? And objectively, I'm just blown away by it. I mean, I don't know how to say it other than it's the biggest event in pickleball. Yep. Is it like, if you want to learn pickleball, you want to understand rules, improvement in your body, strategic issues that you got. I just don't know how else to say it, but this is the most comprehensive pickleball presentation that I am aware of that has ever been assembled, and I've been in the game 5 years, and I know that I know that 10 years ago there was nothing even remotely approximating these types of things, right? So these people didn't even exist, right? So so it's just I can't, if you see the agenda, there's no way you shouldn't be part of this.
Well,
so.
and you know what? You can see the agenda because when you sign up for it, you get your own agenda. So it comes right up for you. So you don't even have to wait for what we're putting out. We're just trying to make it a little bit easier, but you can sign up there. I have to tell you this. Last year we did the Pickleball Summit together, and I learned a bunch. This year we've been recording. In fact, we probably have maybe 75% of the recorded talks are finished, and I don't know about you, but I'm like, yeah, oh, hadn't thought of it that way. Ooh, that's good. Oh yeah, there's another. I mean, I feel like I'm learning from everyone as I'm putting it together, and there's something for everybody. We had a conversation with the Hackenbergs last week, and it was my first time. I've seen them play on YouTube, but it was my first time meeting them. Tony knows them. And I have to tell you, it was just such an enjoyable conversation, and to learn from these two people who have been partners both in life and very successfully on a pickleball court. He's a Hall of Famer. She is, I'm sure, on her way into the Pickleball Hall of Fame. But did you know this? She's in, I think it's the Paddle Tennis Hall of Fame. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, top player.
Yep. But to hear the two of them, I mean, there's just something for everybody. You do not have to be a tournament player to get something from this summit, no matter what level you're at. So I'm learning.
Even CJ, I'm gonna say even like PJ Graves said here. Thank you for bringing in Gigi and John. Is all about the quote we close quote teamwork and pickleball. That concept, obviously, I would say that I understand that it's a team effort, right? But I had never heard it framed that way, right? And so now that gives me a different perspective, different way of framing it. And as Coach Peter Scales said, who we mentioned earlier when we showed the book, you said we're all learning. Yes, we're learning every time we go out there. There was a question on here. Mabel asked, how do you register for the summit? Mabel, see if you can see the link a little bit above your comment from Better Pickleball. Register for the free summit at HTTPS, etc. Click on that. That'll take you directly in there. It's kind of a long thing, so CJ shortened it a little bit so it's quicker to get in. Just click on that thing. It is not a Russian hack thing or nothing like that. Click on it. It'll take you in there, get registered. A couple folks already did it. Looks like Jeff registered, Crystal registered. So this is awesome stuff. Oh, we got a question. Olivia, let's see if we can get this in under the wire. I think it's a question. Here we go.
All right.
CJ, I'm throwing this to you. Ready? Here we go.
All right. Let's go.
I'm a beginner, 66-year-old female who has never been athletic. Can't seem to improve the hitting with intentionality and can't seem to read which way the ball is going. A bit depressed. Olivia, don't be depressed. You're going to be at the summit. CJ, help Olivia out.
Well, first thing I want to say to you, Olivia, is welcome to pickleball. Okay, I mean, and I think it's fantastic that you're playing. Enjoy it and have some fun. If you've never done a racket sport before, what I would say first of all is be patient with yourself. That's kind of the number one thing. All right, here's the second thing, and I think this plagues people who have never played sports before, and it's watching the ball. It's being able to focus on the ball. Now, we are going to have a presentation. You got to come see it. It's a presentation about training your eyes. But here's a really simple drill that I like to do with new players to the game. Stand about 3 feet away, facing a person. So you're facing each other. You're about 3 feet apart. Start tossing a pickleball underhanded to each other. Catch it in your pickleball hand, whatever hand you hold the paddle with. And as the ball comes to you, watch the holes on the pickleball. Okay, just watch them. Just watch the pickleball. When you're comfortable with that, have your partner start tossing towards your shoulders and then down towards your knee. Catch the ball, see it in your hand, gently toss it back. Put a pause in there. To me, that drill helps players who maybe have never learned the skill of focusing on a ball to start to focus on the ball and to give you some hand-eye coordination and to help you play better pickleball. That's kind of my number one.
I love that. That's fantastic. And Olivia, I want to second CJ's words about welcoming you to pickleball. I mean, pickleball is just a beautiful thing. Please don't get frustrated with it. Don't give up on it for sure. If you need to take a day off, take a day off, and then come back. But pickleball's here for you, and please embrace it and make it a part of your thing. The only I would add, not add, another suggestion I would make is to keep you focused while you're playing, because there's a lot of noise, right? Just a lot of stuff going on. Whether it's people's shoes are screeching, all these things happening, people talking, calling out for players, all this stuff happening. Could help you focus is if you count every time you're playing, right? So basically, like every shot you're hitting is either a 1 or a 2. So the ball's coming, you say 1, and just in your mind, 1, 2, 1, 2, and it'll get you in kind of a rhythm, right? And you'll be focusing on the ball, but also everything slows down because it's just 1 or 2, not noise and whatever. So that's a technique that works as well. So give that a try. So, and Steve says, I found for me, it was bifocals or single plane glasses. Definitely. Yeah, definitely. You want to make sure your eyesight is good and you're seeing the ball for sure. But that our presentation from our friends at Visual Edge will definitely help you with that. So
I have another question. This is Jimmy. So how did Jimmy he's over on Facebook. Now, I know we're not going to have enough time to answer this question because what's the best way to move from a 3-5 to a 4-0 player? Question. Help.
That is a.
You want to go first? You go first.
CJ and I have a book on that coming. Literally, I mean, I'm not joking with you guys. We have a book coming out on that subject. It is book length answer. So there's a lot of stuff to be done. What I would suggest one thing, and I'm gonna real quickly, Olivia, I recommend read Margaret's comment and Ian's comment. I really appreciate you all responding to Olivia and sharing your stories with her. That's really, really awesome stuff. I'd read it if we had a little more time. But one of the things that Margaret said in here, which I'll relay to, you say it was Jimmy, CJ?
Yep, Jimmy. Mm-hmm.
That I related to Jimmy is one thing at a time. Just do one thing at a time. You can't do 50 things at once. So you can't go 3-5 to 4-0. That just doesn't, I know it's a goal, right? But that's your goal right now. What you can accomplish is whatever the next thing you need to work on is. So focus on that. And then the next thing, and then what John said, right? Trust the process. If you take this step and this step and this step and this step, eventually you'll get to where you want to go, even if it's 5 miles away. So that'd be my advice. And read our book.
Yes. But here's what I want to add to that, because I think it's really important. When John says trust the process, a process is a plan. Okay. And I think what we see, and that's a lot of reason that we started VI Pickleball. There's some good information out there, but sometimes it's not in the depth that you need, and sometimes it's not what you need right now. So I remember talking to Tony. I'm like, who needs a backhand roll? You do not need a backhand roll to go from 3-5 to 4-0. That's like not the magic shot that's going to make you do that. Okay. So trust the process, build a process, one thing at a time. Like Tony said, one step at a time, kind of building the next skill. And before you know it, your level changes. That's what
the level change, right, is a result. That's something that'll come. And all of a sudden you wake up one day and you are in fact a 4.0 player, right? But it's not you're working that direction, but it's not, I'm going to be a 4.0 player. No, it's, I need to learn this technique, or I need to figure this part about the game. And going back to what CJ said about VI Pickleball, there's VI Pickleball works fantastic for the folks that are inside VI Pickleball, a lot of whom are here and who basically put the work in, right? Put the work in, they do the study, they do the work. It works fantastic. I'm not saying it's going to work for everybody. I wish it did, and hopefully it worked for you, Jimmy. But find someone, whether it's us or somebody else, that you connect with, right? And then do that program, right? And give that program a chance. What's really difficult, or not that, what's really problematic is if you jump around. So if you're watching like a CJ Johnson Better Pickleball video, or an Into Pickle video, or a VI Pickleball concept, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, squirrel, grab that. And now you're going after that. Well, you haven't finished this. So how's that going to work? So you really have to stay focused on what you're doing, one step at a time, trust the process. And then one day, wait a minute, I'm a 4-0 player.
Well, and I'm gonna harp on that one last time. This is pickleball is my third sport. I'm a professional golfer. I'm a professional skier. I never look at my own skiing by myself. I never look at my own golf swing by myself. I have people that I trust to work. And same thing with pickleball. I have people that I trust to work on the game with me because I have blind spots. I sometimes think I need this, but I really need this. and I'm so focused on my blind spots that I don't always know what I need. I need someone to open my eyes and to help me to learn, which is what we were just talking about when we were putting the summit together, right? I'm learning as we're putting this summit together. We're learning from the people that we're talking to, opening up a different way and seeing things. And then, that all comes into your game. And ultimately, those are the things that make you better.
And CJ, there's one other thing I want to do, and I agree with that. But Jeff said, CJ, Tony, let's be honest, athletic ability is a bonus. Jeff, I'm not going to disagree that, the faster player can get to the ball sooner, the stronger player can hit the ball harder, the taller player has more reach. I mean, all those things are factors in the game. But I'm not going to name names, but there are numerous players who are very successful playing at a very high level. Who may not be described as the most athletic looking players or athletic moving players in the world. But they do work at their games and they understand themselves and they understand what works for them, and they work on those things and improve them, and they work on their weaknesses, improve those. And I'll tell you one thing, and she's very athletic, so don't be wrong, but like Deb Harrison is 70 something. I didn't realize she's played for 17 years. Pickleball. She's played in 4 age categories at the highest level. 4 age categories she's medaled at, right? She's beginning from like 50 to 55, all the way up, right? And one of the things she talks about is she's 4'11", right? Yep. Well, that presents challenges, doesn't it? And so, but she's still winning. So, so let's not. I don't like to look at things as impediments. I think that pickleball is a sport that everybody can adapt to their personality, to their physical characteristics, to their place they're in their lives, their age, everything, all those things. Within that, we can all improve. That's the way I see it. So.
Yeah, I agree. And I will say, the interesting part about Deb, because when we were talking that, she wasn't always 4'11". She was like 5'2", and now she's 4'11". And she talks about how her game has changed and how her game has modified. So, athleticism helps. I can tell you this: you look at Anna Lee Waters, man, 14-year-old reaction time. Oh yeah. I'm not. I can train my eyes all I want. I am never having 14-year-old reaction time again. I mean, that's not happening. But that doesn't mean that I can't improve those things in my game. I think everyone can improve their game. The question is, what do you want to be, right? I mean, not everybody wants to be a 5-0 player. Not everybody wants to be Ben Johns or Simone Jardine. I mean, not everybody wants to be that. Some people just want to win a few games and have some fun, and for a lot of people, it's just strictly social and improve just a little bit.
Feel good on the court, feel confident out there. That's the key. So
exactly, nothing like a little confidence. All right.
CJ, I think we're wrapped up here. What do you think?
I think so. Make sure you register for the summit. Next week, Thursday, we will have another Better Pickleball Live. It's going to be our last one before the summit. And you just never know who might show up to tell you about their presentation. So make sure you sign up. We'll see you back here next Thursday. Until then, fun as usual, my partner in crime. And you really are a partner in crime.
Thank you, CJ. A lot of fun. Good night, everybody.